Well, thank you, Nishal, for that kind introduction. I'm well aware that we've been already 1 hour into the webinar, so I will just keep my comments short and try to keep it within 10 minutes. Really grateful to Port Klang as well as Malaysia, as well as the IAPH for organizing and inviting me to speak amongst this esteemed panel. So in terms of my presentation today, I would like to actually emphasize in terms of sustainability in the digital realm. Now, for Singapore, we've had several roadmaps. We've gone through basically a vision in terms of the next generation port 2030. But if I were to show you the roadmap and to explain it all, it would take more than an hour. So to be very succinct, I would say we can summarize some of the sustainable port development sort of initiatives into three key pillars. The first would be disruption, the second, decarbonization, and third, of course, which I will emphasize later in greater detail, will be digitalization. So in terms of disruption, what do we mean by that? In order to bring about disruption into the topic of maritime sustainability, we believe in two key areas that you have to invest efforts in. One is really in terms of innovation. The other one is really building talent. With innovation, for example, we have created a Maritime Energy and Sustainable Development Center of Excellence, where it actually brings about the institutes of higher learning, for example, the Nanyang Technology University, as well as our partner, the Singapore Maritime Institute, to look at various funding of projects with a focus on really future port and shipping applications. So it really is trying to look at innovative and sustainable solutions, working closely with all the key stakeholders. And not only in terms of those research and looking at various solutions, we believe that developing talent is important. So maritime research and development as a career option is important because you need to build the second generation of sustainability warriors, right? And we provide funding support, doing exchange programs, learning from the best in the world. And to really excite the younger cohort of people looking at sustainable jobs, sustainability jobs in the maritime domain, we've created internships, we've complemented it with existing maritime courses. So to inject the thinking upfront, early into the curriculum, trying to get people to really look at some of these topics ahead of time. And when we talk about research excellence, there will be certain thematics. We will be inviting experts to share with us their best practices, their key ideas, and to develop on it. So that's in terms of disruption. Secondly, in terms of decarbonization, as you're aware, we are building the next generation port, and it's a multi-generation sort of project, which will finally complete in around 2040. It's going to be the single largest port in the world by actually culminating all the port activities and bringing about up to 65 million TEUs capacity in Tuas. Besides building a next generation port in a sustainable way, we are also partnering in various initiatives. So for example, we've got the Next Gen Carbon Free Initiative, basically with IMO and MPA, introducing the Next Gen concept so that we can bring about collaboration, we can bring about a very healthy ecosystem in terms of the various initiatives, which are really things which will take a long time, but we need to start now. And the easiest, I would say the lowest hanging fruit that you can actually focus on is really on information sharing. So hopefully by the time we start with some simple facilitation, we hope to develop a common platform to do so by 2023. Besides sharing information, it's important to really demonstrate that technology works. So we have already supported our own hovercraft industry to transition to a low carbon future. So we've launched joint calls for proposals to electrify hovercraft. We've also invested will be a total of $9 million from our Maritime Green Future Fund to set aside for such co-funding projects. And of course, to encourage cleaner fuels, we have got our green port programs. We will even allow certain concessions for vessels using LNG as the marine fuel in the Port of Singapore. And we have got grants up to 2 million for each newly equipped LNG fueled vessel to encourage the switch. Now going into the main topic of my presentation today, it's in terms of digitalization. We've heard many speakers talk about data sharing, data collaboration. And I think for us to really achieve as a global community a sustainable way to encourage shipping to be more efficient, digitalization is the way to go. So not only are physical ports important, digital ports are just as important. And for us, we have already launched our digital port at SG since last year. We have already completed the migration of all port users within the Port of Singapore into this new platform. Why is it so special? I mean, in a way, in terms of streamlining processes, that's something which we have had taken quite a bit of time and effort to do so, but we're happy that it's succeeded because the way that ship agents, ship owners wanting to come to Singapore, for example, a simple thing like port clearance, required up to 16 forms to be submitted to 3 different agencies in Singapore. For example, the National Environmental Agency, as well as the Immigration and Checkpoints Authority for the various different transactions. So PORT actually stands for Portal for One-Stop Regulatory Transactions. And we have actually basically integrated the 3 agency transactions into one portal. So you don't have to go into individual portals to apply. You can actually use one single form, and to be able to do this, I would say less than 50% of the time you've spent in the previous platform. Why is this important? It's because once you are able to streamline these processes, you begin to reduce some of the administrative overheads. And this is also part of sustainable workflow. For us, Digital Port will go into phase 2. So not only is to basically digitalize the work processes, what's important is to be able to achieve just-in-time port operations. Now, it's not just about vessel arrivals in Singapore. I think in terms of the port of departure and the next port, we will need to be able to share and collaborate so that we can actually predict some of the vessel arrivals in a more timely basis, because everything has to achieve like clockwork. I mean, pre-COVID, we've had wonderful platforms such as Expedia. You can book a holiday and you can actually book, your car, your hotel, your plane tickets, and they try to optimize the whole experience and to be able to maximize your time when you go on holiday. Now, I think the same concept applies here. Essentially, for any ship that comes to Singapore, what we want is to enable a first-class sort of experience. Because if they can be able to actually book ahead of time, be able to optimize the time within the port, then we can turn around all the ships much faster. This actually then reduces the amount of carbon emissions within the port itself, and to be able us to actually enable business cost savings also to our port users. So this part, we will be launching the development sometime at the end of this year. It will take us around 1 to 2 years in order to completely achieve just-in-time operations for all kinds of vessels coming into Singapore. The other feature for phase 2 is on sea and anchorage optimization. I would say that the Singapore port waters are very congested because we've got very many users within the port. And it's important for them, and I think it's related to just-in-time too, that we do not want them to basically do their time waiting within the anchorage. So we need to be able to optimize it in real time, to look at space management in terms of using, for example, artificial intelligence, to be able to optimize each anchorage space to the maximum capacity. And then to be able to take this information also to integrate within the larger just-in-time service so that we can actually schedule them in and out the anchorage spaces efficiently. So this will minimize the delays and we will enable advanced planning. And this is going to be something which we are very excited about to usher in the near future. But digital port within Singapore is not good enough. What we are really excited about is in terms of our Digital Oceans initiative. Now for Digital Oceans, and Oceans actually stands for Open or Common Data Standards and API Exchanges. So in terms of network standardization, we are looking at being able to share this data, because why should a ship keep sending the same sort of information to every port it visits? why can't we find a way to be able to share this information with each other so that when it goes to the next pod, all the information is readily available. And this can actually be replicated around the world, but it requires a platform to be able to share this data securely, share this data in a very transparent way. So it requires some efforts. We've recently signed an MOU, a Digital Oceans MOU, with 5 key partners, many of them, for example, the Port of Rotterdam, and even in terms of trade trust, trade lens, some of the larger digital platforms in the world. And with new technology, actually, you do not have to have a system of systems. You can now be able to interoperate by making sure that your data can be standardized in terms of the protocols. We've got new sort of technology through APIs that we can actually exchange the data in a seamless manner. And then in a way, we can interoperate with each other within the remit of what we are, I would say, comfortable to share with each other, with the larger end goal to create a more sort of sustainable digital platform around the world. And if this can be done amongst port authorities, amongst the many digital ports of the world, amongst the many single windows of the world in the future, and if we can get this platform to be able to share information also to the other stakeholders in the maritime transport chain, and I think this will be an amazing sort of effort, an amazing platform to be able to connect end-to-end the entire maritime transport chain and to be able to bring out the next level of efficiencies for the world. So I will just leave this thoughts with you, and I really want to thank all of you again for the time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Nisha.